Hello everyone, welcome back to ArcGIS channel. Today we're going to practice proximity analysis in ArcGIS Pro using publicly available datasets. We would like to analyze the proximity of hospitals in South Carolina to Superfund sites that are in national priority list. The outcome can provide useful insight for emergency preparedness. We will walk you through obtaining the dataset, and also we will learn how we can prepare it. So the dataset that we are going to use, first of all, we will get the administrative boundaries for the entire United States at the state level and also at the county level. The source of data for the administrative boundaries, Tiger Line, and also we will get the road infrastructure, specifically interstate highways in South Carolina. We will also get shapefile of hospitals and Superfund sites from HIFLD or Homeland Infrastructure Foundation level data. Both of these sources of data are freely available. So we will perform some selection by attribute based on the attribute information, and selection by location based on the geographic relationship between two features. And so we will then apply proximity analysis using buffer analysis, and finally we will map the results to identify which hospitals are in proximity to Superfund sites at different distances, 1, 2, 5, and 10 miles from the Superfund sites. So let's jump right in. I'm gonna create a new folder and I will call it 4, which means lab number 4, and then proximity. So first of all, I will store all of the data, the output, the project, everything related to this lab within this folder, and then I will also remember what information are within the proximity folder. So the next step is that I have to Google Tiger Line. So I have to get the data from multiple sources. So the first one is Tiger Line, and if you click on the first link, Tiger Line's shapefile, so they have the shapefile from 2007 to present. And so we will get the data for the most recent year, but however, there's not much difference in different years. So I probably don't have access. I have the data for 2024. Maybe you will have access to data to 2025. So, but there is not much difference in the data. So Tiger Line website is maintained by US Census Bureau. So it's an excellent resource to get the shape files. For example, if you click on here, so you can get the shape file at the block level, block group level, census tract, counties, state level. You can also get other data such as infrastructure data such as rails, roads, landmark, military installation, water data, and so on. Okay, so the data are available for the entire United States. So I'm going to get multiple data sets from Tiger Line website. For example, I would like to get the US states boundaries. So here I will select states and equivalent and submit. So it will give me the data across the United States, and then so it's a zip file, right? You know that the ArcGIS cannot read the zip file. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy and paste this zip file to my lab 4 folder, okay? So I copy this file and then I paste it in GIS lab 4, and then paste it here, and then I have to extract it because ArcGIS cannot load the I cannot read the zip file. So extract all, and I'm going to extract it here. And now, so it's a shape file, consists of multiple extensions, DBA, PRJ, SHP, SHX. So what you should do is that open up ArcGIS Pro. So create a new project. Again, I'm going to call this 4_ proximity, and I'm going to save this project in the lab number 4 folder. Okay, GIS labs, lab 4, and then okay and okay. So what can I do is that I have to load the data, which is for states, US states, right? From map, add data, and GIS lab 4, and here the state, and SHP, so it's a polygon shapefile. So click OK. So here is the map of the United States, but for the entire United States. So if I want to get the data only for the US continent, so what you should do is that you have to select the US continent and then export it as a new layer, right? So to select a feature on the map, I use select feature in the map menu. So select, and I can draw a box around it, so like this. So I would like to export only the selected feature. So from this state shapefile, the layer name, right click, and then I'm going to say data export feature. All right, so here you have to make sure that you are exporting only the selected records, which is 49 records for the United States. So I'm going to call this US continent, and I'm gonna save this again in lab 4. So maybe in the future labs I will use this US continent. Okay, so click OK. Here is the US continent, and here is for the entire US. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to only work on this. So I click on this and then right click on the layer and zoom to layer only for the United States. So you can also label it. So now I also would like to get the counties in the United States, and then I'm going to select only counties in South Carolina. Okay, so if I go back to Tigerline website, and here I select counties and equivalents, and then submit. So the data is for the entire United States. So I will get the data. It's a bit large, it's almost 80 megabyte. Again, you have to move it to lab number 4 and then unzip it and then load it into ArcGIS Pro. All right, so map, add data, and then proximity. Let me refresh it, US county. So here is for the map of US, all counties in the United States, right? But I would like to select the South Carolina. So if I open up the attribute table of this, to see how can is there any field called SC South Carolina? So you can't find any field with SC or South Carolina here. So what should I do is that I'm going to use a trick. I'm going to use the state FIPS, because each state has a unique FIPS, right? Federal number. So, but I don't know what is the FIPS for the South Carolina, right? So let's say I don't know that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this US state, and here when I select South Carolina, which is here, right? So if I look at the South Carolina, I open up the attribute table for South Carolina, so and then select South Carolina here. Yeah, so for South Carolina, if I see which field has been selected, a state FP or state FIPS for South Carolina is 45. So I use this US continent, and now here I am going to, so let me clear selection. I am going to select all the counties that their state FIPS is 45. So this is a selection by attribute, because I'm going to select some records, some counties based on the attribute information, right? Not a spatial information, based on the attribute table. So you have to click on select by attributes, and then here I'm going to say that not from the US continent. I'm going to select from which layer, from TL US county, right? So I'm going to select, create a new selection that state FP equals to 45, okay, and then apply and okay. So here are all of the counties that their state FP is 45, okay. So now again I can export this selected layer, right click on the layer, data export feature. So there are 46 counties in South Carolina, which is correct, and I'm going to put a name for output feature. I'm going to call it C underscore county. So in the future labs also we may use the county's information, right? County's administrative boundaries for South Carolina. So click OK, and I don't need the counties for the entire US, so I can easily remove it from the table of content. So right click and zoom to layer, so I can see the counties in South Carolina, and also here is part of the United States. I am also interested in getting the South Carolina roads, or specifically primary and secondary roads in South Carolina. Okay, so again I have to go back to the Tiger line, and from here I select roads and then submit. So you can get all of the roads. So here you can specify by state, okay, or you can get all of the roads or just primary and secondary. I'm just interested in primary and secondary. So here I select South Carolina and then download. Again, move it to lab 4 folder and unzip it. Primary and secondary roads in South Carolina, add data. I need to go back to primary, and then I need to refresh it, primary secondary roads, and then OK. So here are the primary and secondary roads in South Carolina. Alright, so here I am only interested in intrastate highways. Okay, so how can I understand which road is intrastate highway in South Carolina? So let me uncheck this. Which road is intrastate highway in South Carolina? I have to open up the attribute table, and so here RT type, I'm going to only select the ones that are intrastate highways. Okay, so how can I find them? I have to again look at the attribute, select by attribute, and I'm going to say that RTTYP is I, or intrastate highway. Okay, so if you look again, click on select by attribute, and for the primary and secondary roads, new selection, I'm going to say RT type equals to, and here you can see there is I, or intrastate highway, and then apply and OK. So as you can see, these records have been selected. And so let me right click on that and then export only the intrastate highways that are, let me see, there are 110, yeah, 110 because it's a road segment. So I'm going to call this interstates underscore SC. So intrastate highways, and then OK. And I can remove the primary and secondary roads. And also if you label it, let's see if you label it, what happens. So you have I-20, I-26, I-85, but since it's multiple segments, probably it's not a good idea to have the label for it. But it's I-95, I-20, so these are intrastate highways, okay? So another interesting website that you will get infrastructure related data is Homeland Infrastructure Foundation level data, or HIFLD. So if you Google HIFLD, here Google HIFLD, Homeland Infrastructure Foundation level. So and then select the first one, HIFLD Geo platform, HIFLD open, and then explore it, the data, explore all. So we can get a variety of data. For example, we can get the location of hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, power plants, hazardous materials. So you can get a variety of data sets like natural gas wells, oil wells, and so on. So there are a lot of the variables that you can get. For example, if I type health, like, so as you can see, these are the information related to the hospitals, related to the Superfund site. So I'm going to select Superfund site, and I'm going to also select the hospitals in South Carolina here. And after that, hospitals, again, hospital, not trauma levels, hospitals. And then So here there are multiple options. So I'm going to download this. There are all of the hospitals in the United States. So I would like to download the hospitals for the South Carolina, but it doesn't allow me to select it here. So I'm going to select the shapefile, download. Again, it's a zip file. You have to move it to lab4 folder, extract it, and then load it into ArcGIS. Open up ArcGIS Pro and go back, refresh hospitals. These are the hospitals across the United States. All right, so the question here is, I would like to select the hospitals that are only within the South Carolina. First of all, let's look at the attribute table. If there is a South Carolina, I could easily select it. Yes, there is state South Carolina or state field. So I can here say that I am just interested in South Carolina. So select by attribute because it's based on attribute information. And then I'm going to say that state equals to here. Do not type anything because it's very sensitive. So select SC South Carolina, apply OK. As you can see, all of the hospitals in South Carolina have been selected. So now I can export this data export feature, and I'm gonna call this hospitals underscore SC. Okay. All right, now I can remove the hospitals from table of contents. So I have hospitals in South Carolina. I can change the symbol for hospitals in South Carolina. So let me zoom to layer, and then here if you click on that, so here if I type hospital, what symbol they have, maybe this one is good. So these are the hospitals in South Carolina. And I'm also going to repeat this for Superfund sites in the from the HIFLD website. EPA Superfund Enterprise Management System sites. And here again, I have to download all of the Superfund sites in the United States. Shapefile, download, extract, and load it into ArcGIS Pro. And load it into ArcGIS. Again, I would like to select only South Carolina, so the state code probably, or I can look at the table, but for the South Carolina is, yeah, SC. I thought maybe it's based on the code, but it's based on the like SC based on the name. So here are the Superfund sites, and I can data and then export it, and but I'm only interested in Superfund sites that are currently on national priority list. So I'm going to have another query on this query. Okay, so I'm going to, if you open up the attribute table, here I think active STA. So some of them are currently on the national priority on the final NPL. So I'm gonna only select this one. So first of all, I selected South Carolina, but also I'm going to select only the ones that are currently on national priority list. So if I go back to select by attribute, I can add another clause, and I'm going to say that state code is South Carolina, and what was the name? And active STA equals to currently on the final NPL. Okay, apply and OK. So 28 has been selected. First of all, they are all in South Carolina. You can check it. You can check the selected records, and also they are currently on the final NPL. Okay, so now I can use data and export. So there are 28, so it's correct. So, and I'm going to call this Superfund NPL SC. SC South Carolina, and then OK. So now I can remove this data. Okay, so all of these are Superfund sites that are in South Carolina. Let's take a look at the distribution of the Superfund sites. So here was hospitals. So where are the higher intensity of the Superfund sites? So in order to create a visualization of the intensity or distribution or density of the based on the point information, point data, we normally use heat map. So if you right click on the Superfund sites and hit symbology, so I am going to use heat map, and here we can see we have higher densities of the Superfund site in the central part or the largest cities of the South Carolina. So as you can see, the yellow color shows more dense, and sparse is like there are like here these areas are sparse. All right, now that I have, let me uncheck this. Now that I have a good sense of the distribution of the Superfund sites, I would like to see how many hospitals are around the Superfund sites at different distances, at 1 mile, 2 miles, and 10 miles of the Superfund site. So let me change this to not heat map, single color. In order to respond to this type of questions or proximity of the two features, I have to use buffer analysis. So if you go to the analysis tab and then tools and then type buffer, so you have two options for buffer. So normally we use multiple ring buffer or a single buffer, okay? So I am going to create a multiple ring buffer because it's at multiple distances, right? So let's select multiple ring buffer, and it creates a region around the location. So multiple ring buffer, double click. So I'm gonna create the buffer around the Superfund sites, right? I'm gonna see and then see how many hospitals are within this buffer. So the input feature is going to be the Superfund NPL, and the output, I'm gonna just call it buff, okay, BUFF. So the distances that I am considering is 1, and then add another 2, add another 5, and 10. All right. So, but 1 to 5, 10 miles. Okay, so the distance unit is going to be based on miles, and so it creates a new field called distance, which is good. So this solve option here shows that if the rings, like for example, overlap, whether they will be merged or not. So the reason that here the method for distance was used geodesic, it was because the data that I have is in geographic coordinate system. It's based on the degree. It's not based on meter or length unit, okay? We will talk about geographic coordinate system that is based on latitude and longitude, and planar or projected coordinate system that is based on the length units such as miles, meters, feet for the next session. But here, since the data was based on the geographic coordinate system, it used the geodesic distance, not the planar. So I'm gonna select geodesic, and then I'm gonna click run. So what happens is that it will generate some buffers, as you can see, like distance, like rings around the Superfund site, because it was my input data. And also it created another feature class or shapefile added to the table of content, which is buff. So if you open up the attribute table for buff, you can see it created another field called distance. So the buff is 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, and 10 miles around the Superfund site, right? So I would like to select the hospitals. So here hospitals SC, hospitals that are within each of these rings. Okay, so if it's within 0 to 1 or within 1 mile of the Superfund site, I'm gonna call it or label it as super, as a very high risk. If it's between 1 and 2, I'm gonna call it as high. 2 to 5, I'm gonna call it as medium. 5 to 10 as low, and if it's above 10, I'm gonna call it as no risk. Okay, so here the query that I have is based on the relationship between two geographic features. It is not based on the attribute table. It's the relationship between the buffer and the hospitals, right? So in that kind of question, I have to use something that is called selection by location, and it's the relationship between two geographic features. Okay, so first of all, let's select the first 1 mile buffer, which is from here to here. Okay, so around all of these Superfund sites created 1 mile buffer. So I'm gonna see how many hospitals are within this, and the relationship is between two geographic features. I'm going to select by location. I'm going to select the hospitals SC that are completely within the, so completely within this buffer, right? So completely selecting feature is going to be buff, and that's it. So apply and OK. So let's see if it was correct or not, if it could find any hospitals or not. For example, here I can see some hospitals have been selected. As you can see, within this buffer I have one hospital, right? So in total, how many hospitals have been selected? Open up the attribute table for hospitals. There are 2 hospitals that have been selected. Okay, so this is the first one. The second one is also here. So 2 hospitals have been selected that are completely within 1 mile buffer. So I am going to export this as very high risk. So from the hospitals, just make sure that 2 of them have been selected. 2 hospitals, data export feature, and I'm gonna say so use the it should be 2. So let's run it again. Okay, so from the buff, open up the attribute table, 1 mile. So select by location. I'm going to select the hospitals SC that are completely within the buff, right? Apply and OK, and then from hospitals I'm going to export this, which is 2. Okay, so the reason is that because I clicked on it and then it ignored the one that I already selected. So I'm gonna call this very high risk. Okay, and then OK. So I have to repeat this process. So if you open up the attribute table, there should be only 2 hospitals that are very high risk. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this. So first of all, let's clear selected records. From here, clear second ring buffer. So open up the attribute table for 1 to 2 miles, which is here, 1 to 2 miles. So I'm gonna select all of the hospitals that are within this, right? So selection by location. I'm gonna select the hospitals that are completely within this buff, which is only 1 record, which is this one, not the entire. So and then apply and OK. So let's double check. For example, here I can see some of them, like for example here. Yes, so as you can see, it's between 1 to 2 miles, right? So what should I do is that I have to export this selected hospitals. So hospitals, open up the attribute table, 5 hospitals have been selected. So data export feature, and this one is going to be high risk. Okay, so I'm going to just rename it high risk.shp and then OK. All right, so the next one, so again, clear selection, buff. So you have to repeat this process. So 5 to 2, 2 to 5, which is the medium risk. So I'm gonna see how many. As you can see, there are multiple hospitals that are within 2 to 5 miles. So you definitely will have to get a higher number here. So selection by location. I'm gonna select the hospitals SC that are completely within this buff, and it's just 1 record, and apply and OK. As you can see, these are the hospitals that are correctly identified, and then I can export this hospital. So how many hospitals? 18. So and then data export feature, I'm gonna call this medium risk, and then OK. So medium risk, if you open up the attribute table, there should be 18 hospitals. So, and lastly, So clear selection from buffer, open attribute table 10, between 5 to 10 miles. Selection by location, I'm gonna select the hospitals that are completely within the buff, which is one record, which is this one. Apply and OK. And as you can see, this hospital has been selected. And I can again export this hospital. So how many hospitals have been selected? So 29, and I can export this hospitals. Data, export feature, and I'm gonna call this, or here, low risk, LOW, low risk within the lab 4 folder. Okay, so the rest of the hospitals, I'm gonna call them no risk. So now let's make this map much nicer. Okay, so first of all, I don't need this buff layer, right? And also for the Superfund sites, so I'm gonna uncheck this, and also probably interstate highway, I'm gonna put it, I can have this, but maybe change the color of this, the background. So let me uncheck this word, color of this background for the South Carolina. Okay, so how can I do that? From SC, select this layer, and then, or right click on here, and I'm gonna say no color, right? But I also want to, for example, work with the border. So if I go to the properties and then maybe have a black border and larger widths, outline widths, okay? And then apply, so you can see, you can fix it. Or for the outline widths, maybe, so for the background, I can use a light gray like this. So for the Superfund site, I'm gonna have it in another layer. I'm gonna have it as an inset map that you will see. So let's also change the, for the interstate highways. So I'm going to change maybe the symbol here. If I go back to gallery and type in major road or highway, so I'm gonna use the highway here, right? So one important thing is that the order of layer in the table of content is very important. So I'm gonna have the high risk. So first of all, for the high risk, I'm going to use another color because all of them are similar. So maybe I just use the black color. So these are high risk, but I can't see this, right? Because it's underneath the other layer. So if I move it on top, this one has the higher priority. Okay, so high risk, the very high risk has to be the first, right? So very high risk. So I had the very high risk, it's weird. GIS lab, proximity, I had very high risk. So these are very high risk. So I'm gonna, for very high risk, I'm gonna use the black color. For high risk, I'm gonna use probably red color. So very high risk is, so there were two, right? Let me check. Yeah, so there were two, and then high risk, and then medium risk, right? So the medium risk, probably I'm gonna use this, but I'm gonna change the color, probably yellow, right? So these are medium color. And then low risk, so I'm gonna use like green, right? So this one or this one, and then green. And so the priority is very important. The very high risk has higher priority in representation, high risk, medium, low. So here I also can remove this underscore for representation. So I'm gonna say very high, and then high, medium. You can also change it from here. High, medium, and low. All right, so I have other hospitals, so I'm gonna call it as no risk. Okay, so no risk. Probably I had to keep the word risk, but it's fine. So how can I make a map? And also I'm gonna add the inset map for the Superfund site. So there are two map that I'm gonna add. So insert, new layout, so maybe leather, and then map frame. I'm gonna add this map here. Perfect. Activate, plus sign. So here is the map of the South Carolina. So I'm also going to add the legend. But for the legend, I have, so I'm gonna call this probably risk. So instead of legend, I'm gonna use the word risk. Okay. So risk is this one, title risk is very high, high, medium, low, no risk, interest rate. So maybe I don't know, I feel like I shouldn't have changed this. So let me uncheck the word risk here and then go back and type very high risk, and then high, medium risk, and then so very high, high risk, medium risk, no risk, interest rate. So I don't want to show the word SC counties. I can uncheck it from here. So these are the hospitals. No risk, probably. I think this looks good. So everything looks good. You can add the North Arrow scale bar, other stuff. But another thing that you can add is maybe you say that, okay, so how about the Superfund sites? I want to see the location of the Superfund sites. So in order to have the location of the Superfund sites, I can have it as another additional map that is called inset map. Okay, so I can so instead of, I can start from scratch, but I can go back to the view catalog pane, and then from map I can duplicate this map, and I'm gonna, so this is for the Superfunds, right? Superfunds. So double click on that. So for the Superfund sites, I'm going to uncheck everything, but I just want to, so what is this? Okay, add the Superfund sites. Okay, so these are the Superfund sites. Maybe you want to use a larger circle. I can use a larger circle here. Okay, so these are the location of the NPL Superfund site. So now what should I do is that I go back to layout. I can insert, I can add this map frame. Okay, it's only for Superfund site as a small map here. So here is going to be the map of Superfund site. Maybe for Superfund sites that was here, I don't use any background color. Okay, so go back here, and then I click on activate, and I am going to zoom out and then put it in the middle. Probably this looks good, but I can also remove this border as I already discussed, or I can make this smaller. So these are the location of the Superfund sites. Maybe I insert a title. I'm gonna call this Superfund, okay, SC, South Carolina. So here, Superfunds, National Priority List, South Carolina. And if you want, you can make it larger, but I think it's good. Right, and then also here I can add another title. So insert title, and I'm gonna call this Hospitals in Proximity to National Priority Superfunds in South Carolina. Alright, so here you may increase the font size. If you go to the text symbol, use probably 22, and then apply and OK. And so these are the hospitals in proximity to national priority list Superfund in South Carolina. So very high risk, low risk, and intrastate SC. If I want to fix it, I'm gonna call intrastate highway HWY. And what else? So why it doesn't the reason that it's not changing because it's it has to be for this layer, not for the Superfunds. Okay, so it's not part of the Superfund. So